Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on EQUINOXE Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. The Social Democratic Front (SDF) political party sees the northwest and the southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon hit by socio-political and security crisis for close to 3 years today is out of government control. This is contained in a declaration made by the first Vice President of the Social Democratic Front following the abduction and later release of the national president of that political party, John Fundi, in the northwest region of the country. And now the African Commission on Human Rights and Peoples blames the government of the Republic of Cameroon for the deteriorating socio-political and security climate in the country. And out of Cameroon, the death toll of cyclone hit in northern Mozambique rises to 38 as 8 workers continue struggling to reach affected areas. Those were our top stories. As the crisis continues deepening in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, government has maintained that the situation is under control and gradually returning to normalcy. But contrary to this, the Social Democratic Front (SDF) political party says that the 2 Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon are out of control by the Yaoundé administration, and this is contained in a statement issued by the first Vice President of the Social Democratic Front, Honorable O.C. Joshua. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
In a stunning communique released by the first National Vice President of the Social Democratic Front, the party narrates the circumstances surrounding the kidnap and release of its national chairman, John Fundi. Honorable O.C. Joshua Nabangi, in a communique published in Douala on April 28, 2019, say contrary to the propaganda of the governments of Cameroon, the northwest and southwest regions are completely out of control of the government of Cameroon. He affirms that the northwest and southwest regions are under the control of those he calls secessionists and bandits, as well as militias, created and controlled by government officials at the detriment of the local population now living in unbearable hardship. On the circumstances surrounding the kidnap and release of National Chairman John Fundi, the SDF party said no ransom was paid for his release and that he left Kumbu on Sunday, April 28, 2019 for Bamenda safely without any escort from the forces of law and order. The party indicated that John Fundi, while in captivity of unknown individuals in Kumbu, in the Boy division, was demanded to call back SDF members of parliament and senators from Cameroon's parliament, but he refused and was finally released after several hours of persuasive interrogation. Recalling its long-standing position on the conflicts in the northwest and southwest regions and efforts carried out by the party to end the conflict, the Social Democratic Front condemned a meeting they claim held in Yaoundé between certain newspaper publishers and government officials late Saturday, April 28, 2019 to plan on how to ignore the kidnap of John Fundi in their publications. The SDF party regretted that some newspapers in Cameroon are paid by government officials to twist facts and tell lies, thereby tarnishing the noble journalism profession. The party also lashed out on government officials that they claim are advancing a narrative purporting that the kidnap of National Chairman John Fundi was framed.
And a Northwest correspondent, Mbu Stella, spoke to the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front (SDF) political party, John Fundi, after his release, and he spent several hours in captivity. Mbu Stella reports from Bamenda.
So if I bring me the berry bandits out, tomorrow I enter Salt and the suicide bandits, what I will tell them. So I must go to berry bandits.
This declaration was made at the Tarinkon residence of the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party shortly before his departure to Njafnu in Bui division of the Northwest region for the burial of a man he called son. Before the convoy he was leading arrived Kumbu town, the trip was interrupted for Nijon Frundi and some persons in his car as they were taken into the bush by armed men believed to be the separatist fighters, while the remains of the late Honorable Joseph Banazem Lukong continued to his rest place.
When we first got to Wainama, the Amber boys there told us that they were told that we were coming with the army. So they searched the cars, they didn't see any members of the armed forces. We continued. When we got to SOP, there are those of SOP that halted the convoy again and told the other people to go, but that I should come talk to them. I happily went to talk to them, but when I got there, I realized that I'd been abducted.
The national chairman was released same day, Saturday, April 27th, after spending over 5 hours discussing with his abductors. He then moved to Kumbu to bid farewell to his son, who was buried in his absence, before setting on his trip back to Bamenda. Speaking to some journalists at his residence shortly after his arrival, the national chairman rather disclosed some of the things he told his abductors.
For the 6.5, 7 hours I was with them, I'm happy I had the wonderful opportunity to talk my mind to them and to give them my own point of view. And I realized that there were many things that were going on that the boys didn't know. And people have been very frightened. Instead of going closer to talk to them, they are talking from distances and not putting down the firm facts the way they should be.
As to what guaranteed his release and his appraisal of the situation on the ground, the national chairman says this and more will be contained in a letter he will be sending to the presidency in the days ahead. This particular letter will be coming after Chairman Frundi had declared in one of his outings he will never again write to the head of state.
It's the circumstances that avail themselves for me to once more put down certain points in writing. Because when I write, it's there on record for you to know that yesterday this man addressed this.
Saturday, April 27, 2019 is going down history as the day when the man who courageously launched the Social Democratic Front Party in 1990 amid threats is the same man whose Babatu residence was burnt, cattle looted, brothers and sisters kidnapped, brother and worker still in captivity, was himself abducted on his way to bury a man he called son. The chairman wouldn't comment about his release, but maintains he was not in any way molested by his abductors.
Coming up, our correspondent in the Southwest Regional Chief Town, Boya, Derek Jato, takes a look at efforts of women to restore peace, first in their hearts and then in the crisis-hit Northwest and Southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Over the years, the women have been crying for a return to normalcy and begging on the Yaoundé administration to do everything possible to stop the ongoing killings, destruction of properties, burning down of houses and entire villages in the Anglophone parts of the Republic of Cameroon. Derek Jatta.
From championing the peace plan peace process in 2017 that yielded no fruit, which then caused these women to launch what they called the lamentation phase of the Anglophone crisis in 2018, during which women cried on the street of the Northwest and Southwest regions, begging for someone to wipe their tears by looking a genuine solution into the Anglophone crisis. Today, these women say nobody seemed to have been listening, and in 2019, the status quo is still the same. But these women have taken another step this time by going for a mental vacation to fight the stress brought by the crisis and stay alive. Just sit, relax and imagine an atmosphere of no gunshot, no killings and no destruction.
Now I would like you to think about all the beautiful memories you've had in your life. Also reflect on the good things that you have done for others. The times when you made someone laugh.
When you visualize the fact that you carry out this breathing exercise, first of all, anger causes diseases in your body. When you're angry, when you're tense, when you're stressed, it develops diseases like hypertension, high blood. When you perform this breathing exercise, you take away all of that bad blood that is within you.
And they are not also ending here. Hope Advocate Africa of Karim Dassa is working on a project, Her Place project.
Doing this project, Her Place, is to involve, to get engaged of more royal women, to get themselves not on the menu but on the decision table, where policies are made. More women in politics, more women in peace building. A situation is happening in our country today, and I think that when women stand up and say no and raise their voices will be heard. I think women have a role to play. They have great potential.
And with slogans like "No Woman, No Peace," is a message reminding decision makers of the need of involving women in the peace process.
And as gun battles between separatist fighters, or better still pro-independence fighters and elements of the national armed forces, killings, destruction of properties continue in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The number of persons internally and externally displaced by the crisis continue increasing as well. Many persons are kicked out of their homes by violence on daily basis, and many of them are living in very difficult conditions. Close to 100 internally displaced persons within the Bamenda subdivision in the northwest region have now received humanitarian aid from members of the Cameroon English-speaking Journalists Association, CAMASEARCH, the Bamenda chapter, and the beneficiaries, including women, children, and aged persons from the northwest and southwest regions hit by the close to 3-year armed conflict. Some of them spoke to EQUINOXE television. Take a listen.
I was living in Baku when this crisis started. I was chased away by some unknown people that I cannot call the names. So I've been here in town for about 3 months here in Sona Street with my parents and my kids. It is not easy. We are about 12 of us in the house, a single room that we are renting. Feeding, bathing, because we have crisis of water and other things. My kids are really down because they are not going to school. Most of my neighbors who were down with me, they have fleed also to another places that I don't really know.
We are 11 of us. Some other people that were not even family members, everybody come and we are all here together. So we are managing, we are trying to talk. There was a lot of gunshots, gunfiring. Our roofs are just shattered, and there was no way for us to stay back. We had to stay in the bush, and then after that we left from the bush. We tripped in the bush, came up through Foya, and then finally found ourselves in town, and then stayed in town here. Since then we have not been able to go back because our roads have been blocked. There's a lot of gunfiring down there. There's no way. Even there were some corpses lying, just like corpses just lying carelessly down there. So there's a lot of fear. You cannot even stay there because we go there, bushes all over. You cannot even manage to go and stay in the because 8 minus the insecurity, you are afraid of snakes or whatever thing you might have there. Would you like to go back?
There are barefoot people, there are Banso people all around. Some are living with their relations, some are renting, some are, if you see their conditions.
And the visit to the internally displaced persons was part of activities organized by Kamasearch Bamenda chapter ahead of the upcoming May 3rd World Press Freedom Day. And the president of Kamasearch Bamenda and also the vice president Awa Macmillan and Roslyn Oba respectively spoke to us. This is an extract of what they said.
Difficulties the IDPs are undergoing is pretty disturbing to everybody and not just me. That explains why, as a part of activities to mark this year's World Press Freedom Day, we thought as journalists to also not only contribute in our reporting, but as well to see how we can do to better their situation. They need to eat, and if that should be done, then we needed to chip in what we did to come see them. I'll seize this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all our partners and sponsors who thought that they could also support us for us to have had these smiles which we saw on the faces of these internally displaced persons.
Really fantastic. Seeing even the seniors, the juniors, in short, all classes of journalists here on the pitch. And so we cannot end this football encounter because it's like sports is for development and peace. And we want to end it with a small peace talk, and that will be thanks to the Vice President, Mr. Muku Nelson.
An illegal mine tells the Cameroon government to use the example of the Association of Veterans in the southwest region of Cameroon to solve the Anglophone crisis. That is the example of dialogue and giving ears to everybody. He was speaking during a sporting activity organized within the framework of efforts to restore peace and normalcy in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon. Derijato Asmo.
These veterans are members of the Football Social Club of Bondoma, a village in Buya subdivision. And they are just coming out of an internal crisis that they had as an association.
We, the executive, we have to step down quietly for the other people, those that were really with grudges. We step down for them to come up with their grudges, and we sat on that round table with their grudges, and everything went well. That is it.
Though their squabbles might have been a micro one, but they say it is not less a lesson to Cameroon.
It should be a lesson. If you are in an association, whether you are a president or you are a floor member, you people all love the association. If you are a Cameroonian, whether you are a president or you are a madman, we are all Cameroonian. The first thing is that we are equal before God and man. Second thing, we are all Cameroonians. And third thing, we all have rights and equal rights. The mere fact that you are the president does not mean that I don't have a say. We all have a say. And I'll relate it to veteran Bunduma. Each member has a say, and we are succeeding because we have what they call give them a listening ear.
Barrister Loktabo Evans Tingom, who is an executive and one of the spearheaders to the peace process, says there is one universal way to approach and solve any crisis.
And I think to solve any crisis in any domain on earth is to encourage a round table conference. They are educated people. Being an executive in every domain does not mean you are the most educated.
And using that approach might just be the magic way out of the Anglophone crisis. Celebrating reconciliation and forgiveness, the Bondoma Football Veteran Club invited their Muliko counterpart for a football match that ended 6-5 in favor of the senior Muliko team.
And dialogue has been practically on every lip since the Anglophone crisis began deepening close to 3 years down memory lane. But the situation has continued worsening day by day, and now the African Commission on Human Rights, Human and People's Rights is blaming the Cameroon government for the worsening situation, and the institution is also condemning the Cameroon government for threats against the institution coming from some government officials. Details by Smanjik and Gabriel.
Meeting at their 64th ordinary session in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, members of the African Commission on Human Rights and People hit hard on the government on its slow handling of the socio-political crisis in Cameroon. In an open letter to the President of the Republic, titled Protestation Against Attacks and Reprisals Against International and Regional Human Rights Institutions, the ACDHRO, in its first worry, says the government has decided not to respond adequately to the flagrant violation of human rights in the far north, northwest and southwest. The situation, according to them, has led to the growth of armed groups, making persons alongside the defenders of human rights to run away. The growth of this armed group, the ACDHROS, adds, is causing trouble to civilians, traditional, religious and administrative authorities. The rights institution, in its letter, also expressed the surprise at the arbitrary arrest and detention of many persons violating their rights while judging them. They also talked about sexual abuses against women and young girls and several violations that contribute to crimes against humanity. The African Commission on Human Rights and People also tells the government about the uncountable attacks and threats received from government officials, which is unacceptable. The open letter from the African Commission on Human Rights and People ends with a reminder to Cameroon about the accord they have signed internationally, particularly the African Charter on the respect of human rights.
The call for the respect of human rights, dialogue, and of course a return to normalcy have been on all lips. But for 3 years down memory lane, the situation has been going from worse to worse, and now there is a general call on the Yaoundé administration to stop the use of military force on the ground, and of course to call for a ceasefire for a return to normalcy in the two Anglophone regions of the Republic of Cameroon. On to something else now. Stakeholders and experts in the agricultural sector from different African countries are meeting here in the economic capital Douala in a bid to find ways to improve agricultural production and the quality of agricultural products coming from African countries in order to step up export, and of course the fallouts of the exports that are declining as a result of the poor quality of farm products from African countries. Details in this report. Pest and plant diseases are growing threat to food security in African countries and export of agricultural products to markets out of the continent.
Pest diseases or pest damage caused a loss of crops, about 40% loss of crops in Africa and in Cameroon in particular.
The plant faced with a big problem with a disease, with insect, and this disease insect cause many damage to increase food production.
Cameroon's Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development says with the global regulatory environment and phytosanitary requirements for export of plant and plant products getting tougher, it is imperative to improve production and the quality of farm products from African countries. Experts and stakeholders from the African Union Inter-African Phytosanitary Council are discussing ways of stepping up production and the quality of farm products from African countries in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala.
We need to, to unify our strength to fight against these pest diseases in order to ensure food security and to ensure good production and good alimentation in our country.
We try to manage the good practice to fight again this problem and to harmonize our legislation standard. We exchange our products between Africa and other continents.
Meantime, Inter-African Phytosanitary Council is struggling to deal with several difficulties. Financial constraints constitute one of the major difficulties faced by the Council, and this is because the budget devoted to plant protection issues by member countries are very limited and in constant decline. Officials in Mozambique have said the death toll of the cyclone hit northern part of the country has risen to 38 as aid workers struggle to reach the worst affected areas. Cyclone Kenneth struck the southern African nation last week with winds of 220 kilometers per hour, flattering villages and damaging thousands of homes. The storm lost strength, but torrential rain and high winds were still battering the area today. As a result, flights have been grounded, hindering the aid efforts. And that's it for this edition of the news. Thanks for staying with us.